Hey guys, so I'm working on the other one right now. I'm trying to send the invites out because it's recording, but I don't have everybody's. I got to get everybody's email. So hold on a second. Hmm. Well, I'm actually sending an invite out right now because of one that needs to record. This one's not recording, and we have to have it recording so we can upload it to the discussion board. So I'm just copying and pasting everybody's um, email addresses over so everybody can get it. Yeah, so hold on a second. Okay. The only one I'm missing is Amy's, and I gotta figure out how. Does anybody have Amy's email address? She's obviously responding on Gmail, so I'm assuming she's got a Gmail account, but every time I look at her email, it's showing a um, a BYU Idaho. I'll try sending it to that, but I don't know if it's going to work. Try it, see what it does. Okay, so invitation's been posted. Do you guys get it? Okay, I'm going to hang up this one.
Okay.
Just get on that one. Who's this? Mike Duffy. Okay, let me check. What's your email? I've got Mike Duffy here. MikeDuffy@gmail.com. Yeah, Mike D. Duffy at Gmail. Okay. Just send it to you. Let me know. Did it come? I don't see you on the new one yet. I see Neffy, but I don't see anybody else.
Are we in the wrong one or something?
So we got two going. Let me hang up this one with you, Mike, and see if you can get on the other one. Okay. Neffy, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay, so we're trying to get everybody else connected. Hopefully we can get this to work.
Okay.
It's just me and you right now.
Yeah.
Tried sending the invite to everybody, but did you get it, Mike? Yeah, this is a different one. Wait, hold on, let me see. So everybody's on. Everybody's. I don't know what's going on. Hold on. Usually this Google Hangout's not this bad. Usually it's pretty good. I haven't had this problem in a. Let me see if on yours, because it's saying the beta. I'm just seeing if there's a way we
Yeah, I'm
can.
receiving I think I was receiving an invite from somebody else. I don't know.
I'm just trying to see if there's a way to record, but I'm not showing a way to record in the beta one. Let me see. Let me see if I can copy and paste the one that we're on right now. Let me send an invite to everybody. Let's see, reply to all. Okay, sounds good. Okay, hopefully we'll get more people on here soon. Okay, there you are, Matthew.
Yeah, looks like I made it.
There we go. I'm hoping we get more people on there. Okay. So do you guys know what we should be doing on the case study? I'm looking over the instructions now.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up.
There's certain questions we have to answer. We kind of have to go over. It said we're supposed to have a group leader. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we're supposed to offer a prayer and then begin a quick synopsis of the case. I guess we really only have an hour to talk about this.
Yeah, here's the. I found the link to the specific agenda they want us to cover.
Okay.
Let me see if I can throw that up.
Okay.
There, it should be on the side there.
Okay. Yeah, that's the one I got. Yeah. So I don't know how long we've been recording though. That's the thing. Let's see. Hey, Miguel.
Ahorita te van a regañar, vas a ver. Ahorita te van a regañar.
Hello.
Can you hear us, Miguel?
Well, Mike
Mike,
Duffy. Yeah.
Mike, yeah. Well, I've got Miguel there, but he hasn't really said anything, so just making sure he can hear us.
One of the problems I think is Windows 10. If you're using Windows 10, it sucks.
Oh. Well, I've got Windows 10, so.
Hey, do you know where the material is, the one that we're supposed to go over? I can't find it for some reason.
There's a link up in the right-hand corner of the chat box. If you click on that.
The right corner. Huh. Yeah, I can't see it. I don't know if it's because I'm using an iPhone or something, but I can't see it.
Okay. Well, we can just kind of, if you're on your iPhone, we can just kind of explain it to you. So. Okay, so looks like we're getting more people on, so it seems like we're working.
So is this one recording?
Hello?
Yep.
Can
Yep.
you
This
hear me?
Yep. Amy, can you hear us?
Yeah, I've been able to hear you, and now you can hear me finally.
That's good. I'm glad. Okay, so I think we've got maybe one or two more they're going to try
Yeah,
to get
I
on.
can hear all of you.
Good. So I think we've got two more people trying to get on. I got an email from Cheryl, and she's going to try to get on. I just sent her the link. So hopefully she can hop on, but they say we really only have an hour to really do this, so maybe we should just get started, and as people come on, we can kind of catch them up. You guys want to do that?
Sure, let's do it. Sure, let's do it.
So here's the thing. So they've got an outline of what we're actually supposed to kind of go over, and just kind of have a discussion about the case study, and just kind of go through the questions and just kind of talk about it, have a good discussion, just kind of keep it going for a little while. We'll probably get off about 9:15, so that way we're making sure that we're not over that hour, because I think we started just a little bit after, just before 8:30. That way because I don't know how long it's been recording, and with our problems of getting on, it's been kind of a problem. So, but what it says is to start with a word of prayer, and then kind of go over a quick synopsis of the case, and then just kind of talk about it. So, does that sound good to everybody?
Yeah, and just one question. I just turned my computer on. I'm looking for the assignment work. Where is it? I'm looking for it, but I can't find it for some reason.
Are you so can you see the chat on the right-hand side?
Yeah, I have Google Hangouts in my iPhone, but I
Okay.
just turned my computer on so I can find it maybe in iLearn.
Okay, yeah, it's in iLearn. If you go to the content page, it will take you to the current lesson, and go to the case study activity.
Oh, I see. The
Click on the
instructions or
instructions there,
activity.
and it should take you to what the instructions are and how we're supposed to do this.
Oh, okay, I see it. Yeah, I'm
Does that
there
make
now.
sense?
Yeah, thanks.
Yep. Okay, is there anybody that wants to offer the prayer?
I can do it.
Okay. Why don't we just start that, and then we can get going.
Okay, is everybody ready?
Yep.
Dear kind, gracious Heavenly Father, please bless us this evening that we will be able to support each other in our learning, that we will be inspired by the words that will be shared this evening, that we will retain the knowledge and be able to use it in our daily lives and in our schooling. We ask these things in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
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 Okay. Who wants to give a synopsis on the study? Has everybody read the study? Has everybody read the...
Yeah, I read it. Yep.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
did.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
read it a couple of times too, but it was pretty long. It's 21 pages.
This is the Mary Griffin one?
Oh, really? It was only like 2
Yeah,
pages, wasn't
it's
it?
only 2 pages. Yeah, I thought
I
it was
thought it was
more.
only
Yeah.
2 pages.
Yeah.
Oh, are we doing Mary now? Because I read them both, but are we not talking about Cirque du Soleil?
No, that one was last week.
Yes.
No, we're
Okay.
not.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the
Was
last week one.
okay? There wasn't a group last week, was there?
No,
No, there wasn't.
I thought there was
Okay,
gonna be,
all right.
but he told us we were gonna start this week. So, if we're supposed to talk about that one, I wasn't aware. The instructions said we're supposed to talk about the one that was 2 pages. So,
Okay, great. Yeah, I was just wondering about that since we didn't get a chance to do the first one. So, okay,
Yeah.
that clears it up.
Hey,
can you
hear me? Just wondering.
Yep.
yep, we can hear you.
All right, good. Just making sure.
Okay. So, I guess I could just kind of go over a little brief synopsis of what the study kind of entails, so then we can kind of go into the discussion. So, basically, you got Mary Griffin, who's basically the main person over Derby Foods, and you've got Simon York, used to be the assistant,
Brand manager.
brand manager, and then the guy that, I don't remember the guy's name, but he retired as the brand manager, so they promoted Simon to be the new brand manager.
Right.
But kind of since he's been kind of the brand manager over his area, he's kind of, some of the employees have kind of complained about his angerness, his impatient. He's really impatient. He's very, I guess, it didn't give a lot of detail, but he was very impatient. He did storm out, and he was very angry with the error that they made with one of the brands, one of the logos on it, and so that's kind of a kind of a brief. It also, they had a meeting about how everybody's department's doing, and it seemed like he wasn't that well prepared. He was prepared with the presentation, but there was some errors in there, and here Mary Griffin is kind of thinking she probably needs to have some kind of meeting with Simon just to make sure, hey, are things okay? You know, what we need to do to, you know, kind of make things better. I don't know if anybody wants to kind of add to that, but that's kind of what I got.
Yeah, so I thought when I was reading it, I thought, listen, this guy is really good at what he does, right? Because it seemed to me like the guy before him, the company had kind of stagnated a little bit, and this York guy kind of brought it back with his social marketing and co-branding experience
Right.
and suggestions. But I think managing and just doing the work are two different things. And it seems to me like they should have some kind of management training program or something like that to kind of show him, kind of develop his management style. Because the way he's acting is just not conducive to a manager.
Yeah. Along with that, I feel like he's lacking some leadership skills, honestly. Like blaming his colleagues for errors and then getting mad and like in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yep.
With what was the guy's name that was the production guy?
York.
Yeah, because there was an issue
Simon
with
York.
looked.
Oh, that was Shelburne.
Yeah, Shelburne. That's right. He's just
John Shelburne.
unprofessional. He's not a very good leader. That's what it seems like to me.
Hey, there was something that stood up to me. I thought it was very interesting. That I mean, everybody's noticing that he has all of these like attitudes or behaviors, except for him. He has no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, when Griffin called him for a meeting, he was just thinking, hey, I'm gonna talk about these ideas for the project. I'm gonna talk about this, about that, but it has never crossed his mind that he's like that he's having a problem himself. You know, he thinks that the problem is with other people. He doesn't realize like how people are reacting to his behavior.
Right.
Yeah, because to him, he just thinks his intentions are good, and that's all he can see is what he means by what he's doing and what he's trying to accomplish. He doesn't necessarily seem to notice all the problems he's causing along the way.
Right.
Yeah, and when he was working as the assistant manager, it said that when he was trying to exert his influence, he was playfully challenging. And so I think it goes maybe back again to that lack of leadership skills, because he was put into a position and maybe he just didn't have the skills for it yet.
Could I take a different take on this, if you guys don't mind?
No problem.
I don't disagree that he's doing this maybe in the best way, but these are some serious errors. The people that are working under him, they're not doing their job. I mean, they're not the quality control inspection on the product to make sure the labeling was correct according to how it was originally designed didn't happen. Also, as far, I mean, going into a meeting and not having checked all of your numbers to make sure that all your data was correct, those are serious mistakes in the people who are doing those jobs. And he just took over this department from somebody who, it says he retired there. So it's altogether possible that these people that are working for him at this particular time might be used to a much more lax management. Maybe the gentleman on his way out in retirement wasn't doing the full due diligence that he might have been. And so he might be in a position where his staff aren't fulfilling their positions, and because he's new to that, he can't really, it's not like he can go around firing everybody, So he could be just very frustrated that he's got to supervise his staff so closely. They all should be able to do their jobs without somebody checking over them. And it appears that's not what's happening. So he may be handling this not well, in the way he's talking to people. But on the other hand, he's not getting the support he should be getting from his staff. And people like Griffin and Shelburne should see this because they're an upper level of management, that his staff is making these errors and he's frustrated, and they should be working with him because they have experience with all these people because they've already been there, to help him find ways to make his staff more efficient.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you said. I don't understand how there wasn't an approval process for the design. That doesn't make any sense to me. There shouldn't have been a problem with that because there should have been a prototype done, and they all should have been able to sign off in their brand meetings. So I don't get that. And then
Right.
number two, I agree that his stat, I mean, there shouldn't be a mathematical error. The only thing that I think is he should not have gone after him in the meeting in front of everybody the way he did. I think, to me, he should have taken the blame for it because he didn't check it before he went there, and then had a private meeting afterwards with his team to tell them that it was unacceptable. I just think going after his assistant manager and telling him that his career was basically in jeopardy, it was not the right place to do that, in my opinion.
I agree. It sounds like a person who's under a lot of stress and isn't
Yeah.
getting a lot of support. To me,
Well,
from both upper management and his staff.
Yeah.
you can kind of sense that his team that he has is not really motivated in basically what they're doing, because you could basically understand that in the second page of the case study when you're reading about the meeting, when they're kind of discussing what happened on the meeting, that most of his colleagues or most of his teammates were not really in tune for the meeting. They were wanting to kind of have the meeting end. And so you can kind of tell from there that he may not have the support. And so
Right.
I understand Simon York is a little frustrated, and maybe the way that he reacted wasn't the best, which can come across wrong as if you're part of a team and you kind of feel like, oh, you kind of feel a little, I don't know, not necessarily scared, but just kind of like, if I do something wrong, is he going to snap like that again, kind of thing. I think that's where Mary is kind of thinking, okay, I need to talk to him to let him handle the situation a little bit better. I think that's kind of one of the issues that we're having, is Simon York's behavior is not very, I guess, consistent, of like what the old brand manager was. But I also think that maybe each team member in that team in his department should be talked to by Mary and maybe Simon in both in the same room to kind of get an idea, hey, what's going on? What can we do to make this better? Why is this important? Like, what do we need to do? And I think that's kind of where I agree with you there, Cheryl, is it's kind of both. It's kind of going both ways, but mostly I think it's his team, because he's not getting the support he needs.
I also think when you look at it, it says Griffin had hoped that York's tirade with the team in the brand review meeting was an isolated incident. I mean, she previously had talked about how great this guy was and how gung-ho he was and how thrilled, she was to have him on board. As his sort of um, leader, supervisor, whatever, vice president, whatever she is, if she sees someone that she's hired and he has this situation where he doesn't seem to be okay, there seems to be a glitch that's happened since her hiring of him, a good supervisor would at least take enough time to ask this person, is everything okay? Is there any challenges? Maybe it's just he's having a bad day in his life, But if you're good at your job, if she's good at her job, she would have nipped this in the first time when she heard it to find out what the problems was, and she didn't. She just sort of brushed it off, She said, oh, she assumed he was just trying to assert himself in a new role. Well, even if he was trying to assert himself in a new role, she had to realize that wasn't the correct way to do it, and she should have guided him. So she made the problem worse by not stepping up and doing her job and finding out the first time around what was wrong.
Yeah, and now the problem's really bad because I know in groups and divisions that I've managed in the past in my career, if another manager came to my group and yelled at my employees, we would have a huge issue. That's not his place, and that would be, I mean, I think to me at least, the problem now is large.
Right, because she didn't handle it in the beginning. And
Right.
she also seems, like at the very beginning when she talks about Shelburne or something is walking towards her and she sighs and shivers because she knows by his walk and all this things aren't going to be good. That sounds like a person who generally does not pay attention to what's happening. Like she doesn't want conflict, so she doesn't deal with it.
Mm.
Because obviously, for her to know what John Shelburne's mannerisms are when he's upset means that he's been upset in the past. So there's something going on at a higher level at this company than just Simon York. There's more internal problems between how these management people are interacting with each other.
I think that's a pretty good point. I also, something that I noticed is like Mary Griffin's her job description is let's see what was it? Vice President of Consumer Products. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm not really thinking that she's really the person that needs to be like calling people in to talk to about their problems in the workplace. It kind of seems like maybe they're lacking like some type of supervisor or somebody that like a counselor there that they could talk to when issues arise. But I don't really see her as being somebody that like she couldn't even translate to her assistant to get the message across to York correctly, and I'm kind of worried about how she's going to talk to York in that meeting. It doesn't really seem like she's really got that communication, down really well. I don't know. It's just something that I was thinking as I was reading it.
Well,
Definitely.
and the way that he was brought into the meeting with Griffin, the assistant, and she made it sound like it was just going to be, just something neutral. So he's making all these plans, and really she's inviting him in there so that she can talk to him about the wrong way that he handled things.
Yeah, I don't know if I have such a big problem with that for this reason only, is that I'm not going to tell my assistant that I'm bringing a brand manager in to yell at him. I would just have my assistant schedule a meeting with the guy, and normally I wouldn't tell him really what it was for. I don't know. That's just me. That was just my thought.
I agree somewhat with Amy. I don't think the handling of the purpose of the meeting was done correctly because of how she said it. That we're going to touch base on co-branding and promotional activities. And that wasn't what she was going to do. She could at least have said that I want him to come in and talk to me about the last meeting and how it went, or something along those lines. She doesn't have to tell her assistant directly what's going on, but she should give York some sort of clue as to when he's coming.
Personally, I think that's where an area should drop the ball big time. Is if these types of issues where it's a manager that you're dealing with, not just a normal staff type individual, she really should have taken the initiative to not even put it off on her assistant to make this appointment. She should call and make that appointment herself to really make sure that the communication is clear and everyone's on the same page. I mean, it's going to be something that's sensitive for York and possibly sensitive for her, depending on what issues she may have and may be at fault for some of these things. So it should be a direct conversation. There shouldn't be a middle person to really even have the opportunity to muddle this up.
Well, I agree with you, Matthew, on that. And the reason I say that is because realistically, I think Mary's the one that promoted him. Mary's the one that promoted York in the first place. And now, as you read in the discussion, she's kind of sitting there thinking, did I do the right decision? Did I make the right decision? But honestly, I think, at least from my perspective, where I come from, where I work, that's kind of how we do things. Is if there's something that's wrong or there's a problem, we discuss it with the manager that employee is connected to, they both talk about it, they figure out a plan, and they try to fix it. Because I think everybody should have the opportunity to receive, corrective action. If there's something that needs to be done or needs something that needs to be changed to make it better. Because I think Mary cares enough about York that that she would want him to do well, and that's the reason why she promoted him, because she thinks he'll do well. And so he just might be handling the situation a little wrong, or doesn't know how to handle it because he hasn't been in this situation before. So maybe she can help him with that. Maybe she's had enough experience with it that she can help him along and get him to the point where he can even be a good mentor to his teammates to make them be on board and like him better, so that they can all work together and make a successful company, make a brand that's what they're all there for, is to work and make the company work. So I think if she has that mentality and says that to him and helps him along, he'll be able to pass that along with his team, and maybe things will work out great.
So you feel like it's
But I also think
Mary's
that
responsibility to
sorry.
talk to him about it?
What's that?
You do feel like it's Mary's responsibility to talk to him about it?
Yes, I think so. Because
Yeah, she's a manager.
She's the manager. She's the main person over. I think she should be the one that talks to her about it, because that's just my personal opinion, from at least from what I've seen. I've been in the business world for 3 years, and I think it's important that you talk to your manager, not just an assistant. Because if I went to my assistant, for example, it's there's no point. Like my assistant gives me pointers, but I think it's important that you have a manager, and she's the main manager over everybody. I think she should get involved. I think she
Okay,
should.
I think I just
Yeah.
didn't understand that she was the manager.
Could I just insert something here? Um, if you go back to the first paragraph and you see how Shelburne speaks to her, I mean, would you really speak to your manager like that, where he's screaming at her? You know, basically, I mean, what he says is very unprofessional when he starts talking about we may not appreciate how things work around here. You need to set him straight. I don't care if he is a hot shot. He just can't come down the correction floor and order people around. I mean, he seems to be talking there to his manager, Mary, very similar to how York talked in the meeting. So it seems to me that this is a company-wide problem where people don't respect each other. I mean, he's no better talking about York to Mary than York was talking to his assistants. They're all talking in ways that are not respectful.
Can you hear me?
Yep,
You know?
we can hear you.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I think that the
Yeah.
point is that the communication is really failing in the company, and what caught my attention was the fact that in this case, Shelburne has to talk with the manager. I think that the employees, I don't know if George has had another issues or another problems with the employees, but why does the employee didn't raise their voice, or why did the employees told something with Griffin about their attitude? Because we read that the team of York was a little bit disappointed, and also in the meeting they wanted that everything that it was finished because they didn't feel comfortable working with. So what caught my attention was the fact that they didn't talk, or that they didn't talk with Griffin about this issue.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard thing to really understand, or who should really be talking to York. But I can see you guys' standpoint of where you know the basically the conversation that they had, that the screaming at your manager and kind of thing. And that's really concerning, because if you're screaming at your manager, that means there's not a good relationship going on. And but I think the main person that is in charge of the company needs to take a stand, needs to be the backbone, and say, okay, look, we may not all get along here, but we're here to work too. We're here for business. That's why we hired everybody. Let's get along on a business standpoint. Like, that's how I kind of see it. Is at my place of work, we always have conflict. There's managers that have conflict with other managers. It's just the way it is. It's just things get heated, but at the same time, we have our general manager who sometimes has to get involved, but he's the guy that finally says, "Okay, look, guys, we're all in this together. Let's let's motivate on that. Let's say, okay, our goal here at work is to be successful." That's exactly what Mary needs to do. I think that's why she should be. She kind of reminds me of my general manager. She's kind of the person that's overseeing the whole thing going on, and the managers are in charge of their own departments. But if there's a problem with the main managers, the main person needs to get involved and say, okay, you know what? We need to get something worked out. We got to make a plan. You got to figure something out and go with it and make sure it works. Because if not, the problem you're going to have is the company's not going to. It's not going to be able to produce. It's not going to work out well. You're not going to have employees that are happy to be there, and so you're going to have problems where you're going to have probably turnover. You're not going to have employees staying very long. You're going to have a hard time finding good employees that stay there, and there's more issues that could come about if you don't stop it at the heart of the problem now. And that's the reason why I would think Mary would be the best person for that, just because she's the one that oversees everything.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody but Mary that can oversee it. She's the one that has to oversee it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the questions that the thing asks of us is, how would you start the discussion? So let's say we've got York now. We're Mary. We've got York in the room. How would you start the discussion with him? What would you say?
You have to tell him some of the positive things that he's been doing first, and then you have to work into the area where you're critiquing some things.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. You got to build them up, tear them down, and then build them back up.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
That's something
Well,
that's
because if he walks in there and she hits him hard with it, she's going to demoralize him. And these are a lot of creative people, and so I think sometimes temperaments can be a little bit touchy anyway. I know that because I'm an interior designer. And, we care, creative people care a lot about their work and what they're putting out there, and you have to be a little bit careful with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, I agree.
I totally agree there, Amy. I think it's kind of hard because you kind of have to put yourself in Mary's shoes. Like, how are you going to approach York? York, it seems like he gets pretty angry pretty quickly. You don't want to get in this heated argument. You want it to be a positive meeting, that you both end up the meeting when you leave, that you're both in agreement to what's going to happen moving forward. So, yeah, look at the good things he's doing, talk about him, say thanks, and congratulate him, and just, applaud him on what he's doing. But then also say, okay, there's a few areas of concern that I have that I've noticed, what can we do to, fix this? What can I do to help you, kind of thing. Make it a positive. Don't think it's like, oh, you're a terrible person kind of thing. Just bring it up. What can I do to help? What can we do to make the situation better, kind of thing, and show that you're interested, that you care about the individual. And when they see that, and when they actually notice that the person actually cares, then it's easier to accept the criticism or accept the correctiveness that needs to be happened, rather than being just teared down immediately when you walk into the door.
I think you also need to address how it got to that situation. When you having this meeting with him, I think you need to give him the opportunity to discuss how things are going with his staff, and what does he see any lingering issues from the previous supervisor manager, and what type of changes if he could make changes, what would they be, and just get him to really open up about his interaction with his staff and where he sees the weaknesses are. Because there's definitely going to be weaknesses. There's definitely going to be issues because it's a change of management. And then based on how he answers you, because he may bring more to light. Like the guy who he reprimanded at the meeting, I mean, we're taking it as an isolated incident where, our assumption is, I think, at this particular listening to people, this might be the first time this gentleman has made this mistake, when in reality, this may have been going on for the last 2 months, and he's constantly making errors, and York is continuously talking to him about it, and the situation isn't improving. And unless you get him talking about his staff, you're not going to find that out. You know, so I mean, you can't just take it on face value that York just flipped out. You know, it could have been building, and maybe his frustration came out, rather than the fact that, you know, he's being a jerk and picking on somebody.
Yeah, I think to
Well,
me,
George.
fixing his relationship with his own staff is easier and less of an issue than fixing his relationship with the production manager and the production manager staff. I mean, that has far-reaching implications for his part of the business. I mean, if those guys hate him, they're not going to work hard for his accounts, and it's going to show, and it's going to hurt him.
I think
And,
the production
and if
manager
he,
knew that too. Just saying.
say what?
I think the production manager knew that too, and honestly, I think that he knew that his personality would clash with York's, and that's why he didn't say anything back to York.
Yeah, I think we have to keep in mind, though. I don't know. Maybe if it's so much to me that their personalities clash. I know from my experience, and you know, I've managed 100 people before. If somebody, I don't care if I was the guy's best friend, if he came onto my floor and ordered my people around and yelled at my people, we would have a big issue. I mean, and we could go out and you know, have dinner every night. We would still have a humongous issue if somebody came into my department and ordered my people around and told them that they did something wrong. They need to come to me first.
But they did do something wrong.
Yeah, but that might not be their fault. That might not be their fault.
I don't disagree with that, and I don't disagree with the fact that, you know, you would have preferred he come to you and not come down and yell at your staff and stuff like that. But as you can see from Shelburne's conversation with Mary Griffin, he doesn't appear to be a very welcoming, warm person to the situation. You know,
yeah,
I mean, he's calling
I would have reacted the same way, honestly.
you know, all kinds of other things.
I would have went to my manager and said, "Hey, look, you got to get this guy under control. Who does he think he is? And here's what happened." And it wouldn't have been a, "Hey, this is so great. Let's have a conversation." Yeah, it would have been pretty much the same way.
Okay, but where in this thing is Shelburne apologizing? Where in this is Shelburne taking responsibility for the fact that his department screwed up? It's not like he's going to Mary Griffin and saying, "You know, we made this mistake. We were wrong. We need to fix it." But he shouldn't have handled it that way. He's going and complaining about what this guy did, and he's never once admitting that he's done something wrong. His staff did something incorrectly, and he didn't know it. He wasn't on the ball. He didn't find the mistake. Somebody else found the mistake.
Are we sure that they made a mistake? I mean,
Yeah,
we don't know. We don't know. It doesn't tell us what was approved. That's part of my thing. There was no prototype that was approved. So how do we know that they made a mistake? That's what I don't understand.
It could have been the same issue like with York's slideshow. It could have just been his lack of, you know, reviewing things, and then now he's blaming it on somebody else. It could have been a thing.
Well, that's how I took it too, that maybe he wasn't reviewing things. But then I was thinking about in the process of printing off the labels that at some point when they took it from creative into production, they didn't have some kind of system in place so that things would be checked before it went into production to make sure it was correct.
That's right, a prototype.
And maybe you're coming from a different company, was used to those things being checked. So his expectation would be the quality control is better at this company than it is. I mean, to me, looking at this, I'm just playing devil's advocate because everybody is sort of torching York here. You know, but it seems to me that there are people all around him in this company are not doing their job. You know, Mary Griffin isn't doing her job.
Well, I agree with you there. I think Mary is the biggest problem, actually.
Shelburne isn't doing his job because he didn't go back and make sure before this went in production that it was done correctly. It doesn't appear that anybody in his staff even considered doing that because it just didn't happen, you know. his assistant guy over here made mistakes on what he was doing. It seems to me that the whole company is not run well. And maybe if he came from a different type of company that was run more efficiently, had more, more controls and checks and balances in place. I imagine if you're new in a company and all of these things are happening to you and you're trying to make a good impression and you've got this big client that you're bringing in and you want to do a really good job for him, and everywhere around you the work is sloppy or not done correctly or there isn't communication, I think you get frustrated really fast.
I agree with you 100%, but you don't go yell at the production floor. That's not your place. You go talk to Mary about it, and that's, I think, why everybody is torching him.
I don't disagree
That's why
with
I
you.
torch him.
He's human like all of us, and sometimes when we all get really frustrated by a myriad of different things, we don't all react the way we should. And the fact that there's so poor communication to begin with in here, I mean, I just think the guy deserves at least the benefit of the doubt before we hang him.
I agree, but at the same time, you can't vindicate somebody's wrongdoing just because everyone else is screwing up. York's responsibility in his job, in his interactions with others, is really irrelevant, compared to everybody else's interactions and everybody else's faults. Just because everybody else is failing doesn't give York the free pass to fail also. Now, I'm not saying everybody else isn't failing and that there's not other problems, probably even bigger problems. I agree with you there that, Griffin here is the big issue, and there's definitely other problems and other people who play into this. But unfortunately, York is the one on the hot seat, especially, with Griffin, who thinks, this is the problem that needs to be addressed. So, my question in approaching this and trying to figure out, how the conversation should begin. What do you guys think about? Sorry, let me just finish what I'm saying here. What do you guys think about, Shelburne being involved in that meeting? Do you think that's a bad idea, or do you think he should be included when they have that conversation?
No, he should be involved in his second meeting. In my opinion, she should talk to York first, tell him that he messed up, to do the whole thing we talked about, build him up, tear him down, build him up, whatever, and then the three of them should have a meeting together. I don't think he should be in the first meeting. I think he should be in a subsequent meeting.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. And only if it's
Can I just say one thing, because you made an assumption based on everything you just said. I don't know what your name is. I'm sorry, the gentleman with the glasses that was just talking.
Oh, you're fine.
But you made an assumption that this is about York, and the title of this is Mary Griffin at Derby Foods. So
my assumption is from Mary's point of view, that's the topic we're talking about now, is that we're trying to discuss how Mary should approach talking to York and addressing that problem.
I get that, but you're not talking about Mary. You're talking about York. You're talking about what the things are that he's done wrong, and you're talking about how we should fix how York behaved, when the topic is Mary Griffin and how she's handling her position in this company. This is the situation she's dealing with, but we're not discussing how she's dealing with it and everything. We're only talking about York. We should be talking about Mary Griffin and how she's mishandling the situation with her staff.
Well, I think we're trying to talk about how she should handle where she is now. We're kind of talking about York, and because he's on the chopping block at this point, but it doesn't mean that's the only person on the chopping block. At this point in time, we're talking about how she should approach the topic of addressing York, and that's the meeting that we're talking about. So that's why I think everybody's focusing on that at this point.
Again, but it's the perspective you're coming at it from. You're coming at the perspective of how she is supposed to deal with York in what York did. We're not discussing the fact of how Mary Griffin is supposed to do her job, how she should be handling things within her company, and how she got to the point of having to have this meeting.
So you think Mary is the root of the problem, Cheryl?
Yes. Yes, and I think that's the root of the thing that we're reading here. I don't believe that this the paper is focused on York. I believe this paper should be focused on Mary because she's the top level of management and things are working from the top down. And you've got right away, you've got how she's handling this guy Shelburne, and then you've got her ineffectively brushing off the first reaction with Griffin, and then you have her incorrectly having her assistant make a meeting. This is all about Mary Griffin, not York.
Well, I agree with you that Mary Griffin is the root of the problem, as I said earlier. But I think the question we were discussing from the case study activity says, how would you start the discussion? And so I think that's what we were talking about. How would you just start the discussion if you're Mary Griffin with York? Because that's the pressing matter right now, right?
Right, but we should.
I mean, she has messed up everything. I mean, that's the truth. But now we're in a situation where what does she do now? How does she go about fixing her mistakes?
Exactly. So we should be focusing on Mary, not on York.
Right. So the question is, how would you start?
How he did things wrong, and how he should be corrected, and what we should do about York. And that's not where your focus should be. Your focus should be on Mary Griffin. How can Mary Griffin be a better vice president? You know, she's now placed in this situation with a manager who, because of her ineffectiveness, has gone down a road that's getting him into a bad situation in the company. How can she now become a better vice president? How can she handle things within her company to make this a successful meeting, to help support her staff, and to get everybody back on the right track? What does Mary do?
And I understand your perspective, Cheryl. I get what you're saying. We're supposed to focus on Mary, but at the same time, we're focusing on Mary, but we're trying to figure out, how does Mary approach the discussion? We're talking about Mary. We're saying, okay, Mary, what is she supposed to do? How is she supposed to approach York? How is she supposed to approach her assistant? How is she supposed to make this a better situation from her perspective? And that's what we're doing, is we're doing it from her perspective. We're talking about Mary. How is she supposed to do this? How is she supposed to make the company better and be a better vice president and get things back in order where it's supposed to, because it starts with her. So that's what we're saying is, what does she do moving forward? You know, what is she supposed to do? And that's what we're talking about right now, is we're trying to figure out, how does she approach the discussion? How does she talk to York? Does she do it in a separate meeting? That's what we're trying to figure out, is how is she going to make this a better situation? And this is how we have to do it, is what is Mary going to do? How does Mary approach this? Does she do one meeting? Does she do two meetings? Does she involve both of them at the same meeting? That's what we're discussing, is we're talking about Mary, not necessarily York.
Okay. I agree with you 100%, but those are the questions that should be being asked.
Yeah, and that's what we're doing.
And the fact that when you were talking about it, all of your things with how should Mary, and that's where I think our focus should be. How should Mary, not how should York.
I think we all agree on that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and overall, Mary has been passive in the way that she's approached her leadership, and she needs to be able to stand up more firmly and have people feel more secure and like they can count on her leadership.
I think she needs to find out where the breakdown is in her different departments. And I think she needs to get a better handle on what's happening in each of the departments. That it, you know, aside from, before she even attempts this meeting, I think she needs to go out inside of her departments and talk to people at all levels within those departments and attempt to get some sort of feedback of what's happening in them. Because you can't fix something if you don't really understand how it's broken.
So here's another question. I'm trying to get the discussion kind of moving more forward now, because we're kind of getting close to time. We're going to have to probably end in about 5-10 more minutes. And there's one thing we have to do at the end too. There's a Word document that we have to have people sign up for to be the group leader each week, and we have to kind of go over that at the end, so we need to save 5 minutes. So we probably should start wrapping up in the next 5 minutes. But here's one question that we kind of need to really talk about, because our class really is about, organizational effectiveness, right? So here's the question I kind of want to end the discussion on, is what effective feedback or what effective methods can Mary use to help this situation make it better? Like, what effective ways can we discuss, or what can we come up with, you guys think, that can make this a positive ending to the situation and getting the stuff moving forward like she would like as a company?
I was thinking she should meet with York not only one time but several times, like with follow-up sessions, and I don't know, find a way to teach him about leadership. That's what I was thinking. Just meet with him one-on-one and coach him on how to become a leader.
Okay.
I think she needs to keep a closer eye on the leaders and the brand managers, and just kind of be aware of the situations that are going on for the future. Try to make sure that she can maybe notice things before they start blowing up like they did in this case, and then setting goals with the leaders, meeting with them regularly and stuff like that.
Okay. I think one thing that I was thinking of that might be a good effective method that she could use, or something that she could help with, is I think maybe provide some training for possibly York, like you guys are saying, on how to be a better leader, but also I think maybe having a company-wide meeting. Just kind of get everybody's feedback. Just kind of have a feedback session. Just get in a room, take an hour, and just kind of get an idea of where everybody is, see if there's any other issues that need to be addressed, and kind of get to the point like, okay, let's get everything out on the table, and let's get everything taken care of and handled. That way she has a better perspective if it's just York and his department, or if there's other issues in the company, so that she's not just gonna have issues all the time arising. That she can grab everything together, put it on the table, and figure out, okay, and kind of just tell everybody this is how it is, and maybe kind of have a little bit of trainings here and there. Maybe have a game plan. Just kind of brainstorm from everybody that's there, get ideas on what would work or what would people would want, and kind of go from there and kind of start making plans to make that work. Put plans in motion and move forward with that. And I think that's kind of my perspective of it. An effective method that Mary could possibly use is to make things a little bit more productive and make things better and a better environment for everybody there, is have a discussion with everybody. Let's get everybody on. Let's have a meeting. Let's see where we're at and go from there.
Sounds good.
I think that's the best idea. I think that, for me anyways, that's my opinion. Everybody's got their own. Everybody can say what they want, but that's kind of me. I think that's the best. I think that's the best scenario for me anyways.
I think Mary needs to be more hands-on, that she needs to get down past her management level and needs to talk and go in and just see how each of her departments is working, get who's responsible to who, what are the checks and balances in it, try to figure out, who are the people that are actually doing the work, who are the people who are just getting by. I think she needs to really, like the Good to Great book, she needs to figure out who's going to be on the bus and who isn't going to be on the bus. Who are the people that are going to make a difference in this company and who aren't, and just realign her departments. And I don't think she can do that by just talking to her managers. She actually has to talk to the people who are doing the work. She has to get in there. There seems to be a great disconnect between Mary and everybody, and it's not going to get any better unless she really finds out what is wrong with every level of the company.
I agree. Mary also needs to, be willing to, like, for example, when she has Shelburne walk up to her all huffy puffy and, talking to her in that way where, it's probably a little more rude and a little more abrasive than it really needs to be. And when she witnesses, York and his interactions with his team at the branding meeting, she needs to be willing to concerns, immediately, not let these things grow out of hand into these types of situations where now she has to make these big decisions. She needs to be willing to, because obviously she's noticing them, and she's obviously seeing that, noticing these issues, but obviously she hasn't taken action and been willing to, put herself out there as the manager, as the boss, to call people out on their stuff, basically. So, she has to be willing, in the right way, call them aside, set up meetings with them to do that, but she needs to address these things before they get out of hand.
Yeah. So, to kind of wrap things up, we just kind of have to do a little bit of a summary of our discussion. So I think basically the summary that I come up with is we obviously addressed the issues that were at hand with York and the situation with his team and things like that. But we've also discussed what Mary should do and Mary's perspective and her being the head person, vice president over the company. Basically, we've come to the conclusion that we're basically the best situation here is to have Mary have a discussion with York and also the assistant, get together, have a meeting together, but also maybe possibly more have a hands-on environment for her perspective of her role. Maybe she gets more involved down in the department or in the production, just kind of see how things are going. Be more involved on a daily basis, and also make sure that she gets feedback from everybody, has a meeting and make sure everything's going well, or if there's something that needs to come up, just have that interaction, knowing that she cares about the employees just as much as she hopes they care about her, and that they can have that relationship and they can make sure things are going. You're always going to have conflict in the business world. It's just the way it is, but you also can make things better, and you can be a good leader and a good vice president. And I think that's kind of what we've come to conclusion is these are her steps she needs to take as the vice president of the company moving forward, is have more hands-on involvement within the company and make sure things are going smoothly and have discussions with managers if need be. So,
Sounds good.
but, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with all of you, and I just want to add that in this case, George has to focus on to learn how to work in a team, because I think that besides all the successful initiatives and all the ideas that he had, I think that everything has to be performed by somebody else. So I think that maybe Griffin could talk about the importance of the team, and that all the members of the team are important and there must be respect, because if he's aggressive or some sarcastic, that could be just another bad behavior that could affect the company. So that's just my opinion.
I agree. I think that's important. So here's the other thing, guys. So we're pretty much done with the discussion. It looks like there's 8 more case studies that we're going to be talking with each other the next couple weeks. And he's asked us on this recording to have assignments for everybody to be the group leader, and then we have to send an email to him with the document. So I put myself as the team leader just for this week, just because I was the one that got everything together and kind of got everybody together.
Yes.
So I don't know what other weeks you guys want to do it, or who has availability, but let's go ahead and get that done real quick. I'm not going to worry about asking for your guys' emails because I have them in the group message, and I can just put those in later. But I just want to see who wants to do it next week and the week after, and so we can just kind of, because we got till week 12, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more weeks, and I think we have 9 members, so that means everybody will have 1 week. So, any volunteers for lesson 4, which would be next week?
I'll do it.
Cheryl?
Sure.
Okay.
But between now and Wednesday, somebody has to teach me how to do this Hangout thing because I can't figure it out.
Okay. Worst case scenario, realistically, there are instructions. I can show you where to do that too, but it's pretty easy. Lesson 5. Who wants to do that?
I can do lesson 5.
Who's this? What's your name?
Victor. Can you hear me? Because it's saying that I'm muted.
No, I heard you. Victor,
Okay.
okay. Lesson 6.
I
I
can
can do it.
Okay, I think 2 people said it, so who was it?
Well, I'm Miguel from Mexico.
Miguel? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, lesson
Mhm.
6 for Miguel.
And
Lesson
then
7.
I said I could do the next one, so I can do 7.
So that's Matthew.
Yep.
I
Okay.
can do the next one, Nefi.
Effie. Okay.
I can do the next one.
Okay, so we got Amy week, lesson 9.
Sure.
Okay, and we're missing 2. We got 1, 2, 6, 7. So we have 8 group members total. So I guess I'll do lesson 11 again. 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And you'll send
Oh,
this
Mike.
list to everybody so we all know.
Yeah, I can email you guys the list. Yeah. Mike, can you do
Great.
lesson 11? Mike, are you there? I think he's muted.
Did lesson 10 have an assigned person?
It looks like I was muted. Yeah, I can do it whenever you want me to, man.
Okay, let's do lesson 11 for you, Mike. There wasn't a lesson 10 listed. So it's lesson
okay.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 11 and 12. That's what it says. Notice that you will not meet as a group during lesson 2 for conclusion lesson. So we're not meeting that day, that week.
Okay.
And then I will just do lesson 12. I'll do the last one. So, okay. So we're pretty much done. What I'll do is when I stop the recording here, it will upload to YouTube, and I'll just copy and paste a link to that, and I'll send it to everybody in an email on the group message, as long with this document of your assignment for what lesson, and then then you can upload your link to the discussion board of our meeting when it comes available. Because I just tried to see if I could upload it now, and it won't. There's no discussion board yet, so it might still come available a little bit later, but it's not due till Monday anyways. But so
All right.
okay, guys, thanks for
Thank you
meeting.
so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks
Okay.
for organizing it, man.
Yeah, no problem. Guys,
All
have a
right.
good evening, and we'll see you guys next Wednesday at 8
See you
o'clock.
next
Does that still
Wednesday.
work?
Bye.
8 o'clock?
See you
8
then.
o'clock?
Perfect.
Okay, 8
8
o'clock next
o'clock.
Wednesday. Okay,
Perfect.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.